originally, so all my books follow the alliterative crime word in Filipino food um, template. And that's because my first book, Arsenic and Adobo, was not originally titled Arsenic and Adobo. Oh, excuse me. It was sold as Love, Loss, and Lumpia. Lumpia being like a Filipino spring roll. So obviously, I did still try to bring the Filipino food element into it. Um, but my editors and the sales team rightfully said, like, that's a great sounding title, but it doesn't scream mystery. And particularly as a debut, we want people to know right away what they're picking up just from the title alone. And I was like, that makes sense. And so, they proposed an alternate title, which I didn't care for, right? It was not a horrible title, but it was a title that told you nothing about my books. It could have been any other cozy mystery on the shelf. And it didn't say what was special about mine. So I was like, okay, I know I have to change the title. I don't really like your proposed one. Can you just give me a few days and I'll brainstorm a bunch of different ones. So like again, I read a bunch of cozies, and I knew a lot of them had pun titles, but you can't really pun with Filipino food. It's not that easy. So I tried all these different combinations, and one of them was Arsenic and Adobo. And I think it was the sales team who actually chose that particular title. And I was like, it's so perfect. Why didn't I think of that before? But after they chose that kind of set into place um, the the way the titles would be laid out. So with the second one, Homicide and Halo Halo, Halo Halo is a shaved ice dessert. The book takes place in summertime, so it's natural that I would choose something like that. Blackmail and Bibinka, the one you mentioned, it takes place around Christmas time, and Bibinka is a rice cake that is traditionally served around Christmas in the Philippines. So I usually will try to, people ask like, how do you know what food to choose? Sometimes I'll make it based on like a seasonal thing, like with the halo, halo halo. Sometimes, if it's based on a particular event, like the Christmas one, then it's easier to choose that way. So that's how I try to narrow it down when there's so many possibilities. So with Murder and Mamon, there was like a lot of different beginnings with this book. So again, it's the beginning of the new contract. It's the beginning of what I think of as like a new mini arc. So again, as I mentioned, like the mini arc of like almost like a coming of age story that is centered around a murder mystery is what I would say the first three books are like. This, starting in book 4, she's a little bit more settled. So like, where do I take that? And in the other books, it's her or her family members who are accused of murder. So it's very personal to her to solve this case. With book 4, nobody she knows is accused of the murder. However, someone close to the family is a victim. So one of the godmothers, young April, her niece has come to visit from the Philippines, and the godmothers are opening a new business together. They're running a laundromat, and on opening day, they enter the place of risk, and then they find the body of her niece next to a message, and they are not sure if this young woman was the intended victim. Was she in the wrong place at the wrong time? Based on the placement of that message, are the calendar crew next? And so it's a very different kind of thing, because now Lila's trying to find the killer to make sure, to stop them in time before they can hurt her godmothers. And so usually her godmothers are the font of information, right? They're the ones who gets all the good gossip. They're the one who points her in which direction to go. But now it's the tables have turned, and she has to delve into their lives and find out their secrets to see why, someone would maybe want to kill them. So a lot of people will ask me, like, are these characters based on real people? And usually, and then I don't want that drama, like you said, like, oh, so most of the time, I would say like they're amalgamations of people that I know in real life. So, very often I will take a quality in a person that I know that I think would be interesting, and then build a character around that, right? So like the Tita Rosie character, she's very much one of the themes of the series is that food is a love language, right? For people who maybe are not comfortable saying I love you or giving physical affection, there are different ways to show love, and food is one of them. And that's a quality I got from my father. My father was the one who really taught me about food and cooking and things like that. But nobody reading these books who knows my family would be like, oh, that's your dad. Like zero things in common except for that one quality that I pulled from. The aunties, you know, I call them like a Greek chorus, right? Because those three are always together. Sometimes I don't even like give them dialogue tags. It doesn't matter who said it because it's almost like a group consensus. And they're almost, they, you know, it's one of those like, they almost like speak for like all aunties everywhere. You know, one of my favorite things, like I'll do like library events and people will be like, oh, I'm not Filipino, but I'm Italian or I'm Puerto Rican or, you know, I'm Caribbean or I'm Jewish. And I know these women, right? So one person even said like, I am those women. Um, and so like, I feel like if you have those particular type of aunties in your life, you know what I'm pulling from. There are some things that they've said that have been said to me in real life, and I was like, oh yeah, I was saving that. I was saving that for a story someday. And some of them are things that were said to my friends that they were kind of related to me. But in general, they're not based on any one person. It's just lots of different experiences. Yeah, sure. So book 4, Murder in Mamon, comes out in September of 2023. And then my series extended with another 3 books. So book 5 comes out, I believe, fall 2024. So I'm drafting it right now. And so now again, like, so before I was really leaning heavily on like things that were like, are very big in the Filipino like diaspora community. This now I'm trying to take advantage of location. So I was like, okay, what is something that's like super Midwest? A corn festival. So there is a murder inside a corn maze at the town's local festival, and her best friend has been framed for the murder. And then there's also book 6.